Taemin Kim walked up the stairs to his dorm room at New Seoul University. The winter break was over, and he was tired from the long train ride home. He carried his heavy bag and thought about the new semester starting tomorrow. Engineering classes would be hard, but he was ready. He put his key in the door and turned it. The room was dark, but he could see someone sitting at the desk near the window. Taemin thought his roommate had already arrived. The university had told him he would have a new roommate this semester. "Hello," Taemin said as he turned on the light. The person at the desk turned around, and Taemin dropped his bag. The person was not human. The being had blue skin that looked like crystal and 4 arms instead of 2. It was tall and thin, with large eyes that glowed softly in the light. "Greetings, roommate Taemin," the alien said in perfect Korean, though the voice sounded strange. "I am Veltar of the Ziltharian people. I am here to study at your university." Taemin stared for a moment. He knew aliens existed and that some came to Earth universities, but he had never met one before. The Galactic Federation had been working with Earth for 50 years, but aliens were still rare to see. "Oh, hello," Taemin said slowly. "I am Taemin. Nice to meet you." Veltar stood up and walked toward Taemin. Before Taemin could react, Veltar leaned forward and pressed his forehead against Taemin's forehead hard. The impact made Taemin step backward and rub his head. "Ow," Taemin said, touching his forehead where it hurt. Veltar looked confused.
"Did I perform the greeting incorrectly?"
"On my world, we touch foreheads to show respect and friendship when we meet." Taemin realized the alien was trying to be polite, but did not understand human customs. "We don't do that here," Taemin explained gently. "Humans usually shake hands or bow slightly, like this." He held out his hand. Veltar looked at Taemin's hand with great interest. He reached out with one of his forearms and grabbed Taemin's hand with too much force. Taemin winced as Veltar shook his hand up and down very fast. "Is this correct?" Veltar asked eagerly. "Almost," Taemin said, trying not to laugh, but more gentle and slower. He showed Veltar the right way to shake hands. Veltar practiced the handshake several times, his large eyes focused on getting it right. "Human customs are very different from mine," he said. "I have much to learn." Taemin sat on his bed and looked at his new roommate. Veltar seemed young, maybe like a teenager, though Taemin was not sure how alien ages worked. The alien wore simple clothes that looked too big for his thin body. "Why are you here?" Taemin asked. "I mean at our university? I am here to study human engineering," Veltar said, sitting back at the desk. "My people think human technology is very simple and primitive. I am supposed to learn how humans build things with such basic tools and knowledge." Taemin felt a little insulted but tried not to show it. "Basic tools?" "Yes," Veltar said, not noticing Taemin's tone. "My people build with energy and thought. Humans still use metal and physical materials. It is very old-fashioned, but also interesting." Taemin unpacked his clothes while thinking. He had heard that other alien species looked down on humans as less advanced. But humans had built amazing cities, sent ships to space, and created beautiful art and music. Maybe they were not as primitive as aliens thought. "Can I ask you something?" Taemin said. "Yes, ask anything," Veltar replied. "Do you know anything about how humans live? I mean our daily life and customs?" Veltar tilted his head, which made his crystal-like skin catch the light. "I know humans need to eat food and sleep and go to classes. Is there more?" Taemin almost smiled. "Much more. Humans have many customs and social rules. We have ways of being polite, ways of showing friendship, ways of celebrating, ways of showing respect." "This sounds very complex," Veltar said, his glowing eyes growing brighter with interest. "My people do not have such things. We simply exist and work and communicate through light patterns on our skin." "Would you like me to teach you?" Taemin offered. "About human customs, I mean. It might help you understand us better while you study here." Veltar stood up quickly, his forearms moving with excitement. "Yes, I would like this very much. I want to learn everything about humans." Taemin smiled. "Okay, but we start with the basics. First, when you meet humans, you should not touch their forehead." "I understand. What should I do instead?" "Shake hands gently like I showed you, or bow slightly like this." Taemin demonstrated a small bow. Veltar copied the bow, but he bent almost in half. "Like this?" "Not so deep," Taemin laughed. "Just a little nod of your head." They practiced greetings for a while. Veltar was very serious about learning and asked many questions. He wanted to know why humans shook hands, why they said certain words when meeting, and why they smiled. Smiling shows that you are happy or friendly, Taemin explained. But your mouth changes shape, Veltar said, studying Taemin's face. This is how you communicate emotion without light patterns? Yes, our faces show our feelings. We also use our voice and body language. Veltar tried to smile, but it looked strange on his alien face. Is this correct? Taemin nodded encouragingly. You are learning fast. As they talked, Taemin realized that Veltar was not really here just to study engineering. The alien seemed much more interested in human behavior and customs than in technology. Maybe Veltar was curious about humans in a way his people did not expect. Tomorrow I will show you around campus, Taemin said. You can meet other humans and practice what you learned. I would like that very much, Veltar said. But I must warn you, I may make mistakes. Human customs are very different from mine. Everyone makes mistakes when learning something new, Taemin said. Do not worry about it. That night, as Taemin lay in his bed, he listened to Veltar moving around quietly in the dark. The alien did not seem to sleep the same way humans did. Taemin thought about how strange it was to have an alien roommate, but also how interesting it might be. He had always thought aliens were probably smarter and better than humans in every way. But Veltar seemed to think human customs were worth learning about. Maybe humans were not as primitive as everyone thought. Maybe they had something special that even advanced aliens could appreciate. Taemin fell asleep wondering what tomorrow would bring with his unusual new roommate. The next morning, Taemin woke up to find Veltar standing by the window watching the sunrise. The alien's blue skin glowed softly in the morning light. Good morning, Veltar, Taemin said, stretching and getting out of bed. Good morning, roommate Taemin, Veltar replied, turning around. I have been watching your sun. It is very beautiful. On my world we have 3 suns, but they are much smaller. Taemin went to the bathroom to wash his face and brush his teeth. When he came back, Veltar was watching him with great interest. What are you doing with that small brush in your mouth? Veltar asked. Brushing my teeth, Taemin explained. Humans clean their teeth every morning and night to keep them healthy. Fascinating, Veltar said. My people do not need to clean our bodies. We absorb energy from light and do not create waste. Taemin's stomach growled loudly. I am hungry. Do you want to come to the cafeteria for breakfast? Veltar's large eyes grew brighter. Yes, I want to try human food. I have heard it is very strange. They walked across campus to the student cafeteria. Many students stared at Veltar as they passed. Some pointed and whispered, but most just looked curious. Veltar did not seem to notice the attention. In the cafeteria, Taemin got a tray of rice, soup, and side dishes. Veltar looked at all the food with wonder. Humans prepare their energy in so many different ways, Veltar said. Why do you not just absorb it directly? We cannot absorb energy from light like you do, Taemin explained. We have to eat plants and meat to get energy for our bodies. They sat down at a table and Taemin showed Veltar how to use chopsticks. Veltar picked up the chopsticks with 2 of his 4 hands and tried to copy Taemin's movements. But the alien's hands were not made for holding chopsticks, and he dropped them several times. This is very difficult, Veltar said, frustrated. Why do humans make eating so complicated? It is not complicated when you learn how, Taemin said patiently. Try using just 2 hands like I do. Veltar tried again, but he could not pick up the rice. Finally, he gave up and used all 4 hands to grab the food directly. Rice and soup spilled everywhere as Veltar tried to put the food in his mouth with his hands. Other students started to stare and laugh. Taemin felt embarrassed but also sorry for Veltar, who was clearly struggling. Wait, Taemin said gently. Let me help you. Just then, Taemin's best friend Hyunwoo Lee arrived at their table. Hyunwoo loved to cook and knew everything about food and eating customs. Taemin, who is your friend? Hyunwoo asked, looking at Veltar with curiosity rather than fear. This is Veltar, my new roommate, Taemin said. Veltar, this is Hyunwoo, my best friend. Veltar stood up and bowed deeply like Taemin had taught him, but he bowed so low that his head hit the table and dishes crashed to the floor. I am very sorry, Veltar said, his skin turning a darker blue color. I am still learning human customs. Hyunwoo laughed kindly. Do not worry about it. Here, let me show you an easier way to eat. Hyunwoo sat down and demonstrated how to hold chopsticks properly. He was very patient and encouraging. Slowly, Veltar began to understand. When Veltar finally managed to pick up a piece of food with the chopsticks, he was so excited that his skin glowed brighter. "I did it," Veltar said happily. "Human tools are very clever." "See?" Hyunwoo said. "Eating with chopsticks is like a small art. It takes practice, but it makes the meal more enjoyable." Veltar spent the rest of breakfast practicing with the chopsticks. He was very focused and serious about learning. Taemin was impressed by how hard Veltar worked to understand even simple human activities. After breakfast, they went to Taemin's first class. On the way, they met Taemin's girlfriend, Sora Park. She was studying biology and was very smart, but she could be suspicious of new people. "Sora, this is Veltar, my roommate," Taemin said. Sora looked at Veltar nervously. She had never been close to an alien before, and Veltar was quite tall and unusual looking. Veltar remembered what Taemin had taught him about greeting humans politely. He stood straight, smiled his strange alien smile, and bowed exactly the right amount. "Hello, Sora Park," Veltar said carefully. "It is an honor to meet you. Taemin has told me you are very intelligent and kind." Sora was surprised by how polite and respectful Veltar was. She had expected aliens to be cold or strange, but Veltar seemed genuinely nice. "Hello, Veltar," she said, bowing back. "Welcome to our university." "Thank you," Veltar said. "I hope we can be friends." As they talked, Veltar tried to sit on a nearby bench to be more comfortable. But he forgot about his alien strength and sat down too hard. The metal bench bent and broke with a loud crash. Veltar jumped up, his skin turning dark blue again with embarrassment. "I am so sorry. I forgot that human furniture is not as strong as Ziltharian furniture." Other students gathered around to look at the broken bench. Some seemed angry, but Sora stepped forward to defend Veltar. "It was an accident," she said firmly. "He is still learning about our world." Taemin was touched that Sora was willing to stand up for Veltar, even though she had just met him. "I will pay for the damage," Veltar said sadly. "I do not want to cause trouble for humans." "Do not worry about it," Taemin said. "These things happen. We will figure it out." Later that day, Taemin found Veltar in their room, practicing sitting down gently on his chair over and over again. The alien was trying very hard to control his strength so he would not break anything else. "You do not have to practice so much," Taemin said. "Yes, I do," Veltar replied seriously. "Human customs are important. If I want to live among humans, I must learn to do things the human way. Your furniture, your food, your greetings, everything has meaning and purpose." Taemin sat on his bed and watched Veltar practice. The alien was so dedicated to learning human ways. Most aliens who came to Earth thought human customs were silly or primitive. But Veltar seemed to think they were worth studying carefully. "Why do you care so much about learning our customs?" Taemin asked. Veltar stopped practicing and looked at Taemin. "Because they are beautiful," he said simply. "On my world we eat energy and we communicate with light. But humans make eating into a social activity. You use special tools and sit together and talk. You turn something necessary into something enjoyable." Taemin had never thought about chopsticks and shared meals that way before. "And your greetings," Veltar continued. "When you bow or shake hands, you are showing respect for the other person. You are saying that they matter to you. My people do not have such customs. We simply exist near each other." That evening, Hyunwoo brought ramen to their room to share. He wanted to make sure Veltar could practice eating with chopsticks. Veltar was much better now, though he still dropped some noodles. "This food is wonderful," Veltar said as he carefully picked up noodles with his chopsticks. "It is warm and flavorful. But more than that, sharing it with friends makes it taste even better." Hyunwoo smiled. "Exactly. Food is not just about eating. It is about being together." Sora joined them later, bringing tea. She sat next to Veltar without fear now. She had seen how hard he was trying to fit in, and how much he respected human customs. "Veltar," she said, "you are learning our ways very quickly. But do not change too much. Your alien perspective might teach us things too." Veltar's skin glowed with happiness. "Thank you, Sora. I want to learn from humans, but I also hope humans can learn from me." As they shared food and talked late into the night, Taemin realized something important. Veltar was not just studying human customs. He was genuinely beginning to care about human friendship. And in return, the humans were starting to care about him too. 2 weeks had passed since Veltar arrived at the university. He was getting better at human customs every day. He could use chopsticks without dropping food, and he no longer broke furniture when he sat down. But Taemin noticed that Veltar seemed restless, like he was looking for something more. One afternoon they were walking across campus when they heard music coming from the arts building. A student named Woo Jin Nam was sitting under a tree playing guitar and singing. Other students had gathered around to listen. Veltar stopped walking and stared at Woo Jin with wide eyes. His blue skin began to glow brighter than Taemin had ever seen it. "What is that human doing?" Veltar whispered. "He is playing music," Taemin said. "The guitar makes sounds and he sings words that go with the sounds." "But why?" Veltar asked, moving closer to the music. "What purpose does it serve?" Taemin thought about the question. "It does not serve a purpose exactly. It is beautiful. It makes people feel emotions. It is art." Veltar listened to the entire song without moving. When Woo Jin finished, the alien walked up to him. "Excuse me," Veltar said politely. "I am Veltar. I am an exchange student from another world. Could you explain what you just did?" Woo Jin smiled and looked at the tall blue alien with interest. "I played a song. Music is when you make organized sounds that create feelings in people who listen. But the sounds have no practical function," Veltar said, confused. "They do not provide information or accomplish a task. That is the point," Woo Jin laughed. "Music exists just to be beautiful and to make people feel things." Veltar sat down on the grass, careful not to sit too hard. "My people do not have music. We communicate with light patterns that give exact information. Nothing exists just to be beautiful." Woo Jin played another song, a slower one about missing home. As he played, Veltar's skin began to change colors, soft purples and deep blues swirling across his crystal-like surface. When the song ended, something amazing happened. Water began to fall from Veltar's large eyes. "Veltar, are you okay?" Taemin asked, worried. "I do not know," Veltar said, touching the water on his face. "My eyes are leaking." "Is this normal?" "You are crying," Taemin said gently. "Humans cry when they feel strong emotions, usually sadness, but sometimes happiness too." "I am experiencing feeling?" Veltar asked in wonder. "The music made me feel something I have never felt before. It was like missing something I never had." Word spread quickly that the alien student had cried listening to human music. Soon, other art students came to meet Veltar. One of them was Jinna Choi, who painted pictures. "Veltar," Jinna said, "would you like to see more human art? I have paintings in my studio." Veltar nodded eagerly. "Yes, I want to understand all human art." They went to Jinna's art studio, which was filled with colorful paintings of landscapes, people, and abstract designs. Veltar walked slowly through the room, studying each painting carefully. "These images serve no practical purpose either," Veltar observed, "but they are affecting me in the same way as music." "What do you see when you look at them?" Jinna asked. Veltar stopped in front of a painting of a sunset over mountains. "I see beauty, but also longing." The human who made this was trying to capture something temporary and make it permanent. Jinna smiled. "That is exactly right. Artists try to capture moments, feelings, and ideas in their work. Could I try to make art?" Veltar asked. "I want to understand how humans create beauty from nothing." Jinna gave Veltar brushes and paints. She showed him how to hold the brush and mix colors. But when Veltar began to paint, something extraordinary happened. Veltar could see colors that humans could not see. His alien eyes could detect light spectrums beyond human vision. As he painted, he created swirling patterns of colors that seemed to glow and move, even though they were just paint on canvas. "This is incredible," Jinna whispered as she watched Veltar work. "You are seeing and painting light that we cannot even see." Other students gathered to watch. Veltar painted for hours, completely focused on his work. He used his 4 hands to hold multiple brushes at once, creating complex patterns that no human could make. When he finished, the painting was unlike anything anyone had ever seen. It showed the campus as Veltar saw it, with beautiful colors and light patterns that made the ordinary buildings look magical. "It is beautiful," Woo Jin said in amazement. "But why did you paint our campus this way?" "Because this is how it really looks," Veltar said simply. "You cannot see all the colors and light that exist here, but they are there. I wanted to show you how beautiful your world really is." News of Veltar's painting spread across the university. Art professors came to see it, and students lined up to look at the alien's unique artwork. Everyone was amazed by what Veltar had created. But Veltar did not care about the attention. He only cared that his human friends liked his painting. "Do you think it is good?" he asked Taimin nervously. "It is amazing," Taimin said honestly. "I had no idea our campus was so beautiful." "Human art teachers have been asking to buy your painting," Sora told Veltar. "You could become famous." Veltar shook his head. "I do not want to sell it. I made it for my friends. It is a gift." That evening, Veltar sat in their dorm room looking at his painting, which now hung on the wall. Taimin was doing homework, but he kept glancing at his alien roommate. "Veltar," Taimin said, "can I ask you something?" "Of course," Veltar replied. "When you came here, you said you were supposed to study our primitive engineering. But you seem much more interested in our art and music and customs." Veltar was quiet for a moment. "When I was chosen for this exchange program, my people told me that humans were simple and primitive. They said human technology was basic compared to ours. They wanted me to study how humans could build anything useful with such limited knowledge." "And what do you think now?" Taimin asked. "I think my people are wrong," Veltar said firmly. "Humans are not primitive. You have something we do not have. You create beauty for no reason except that beauty is good. You make eating into friendship. You turn sounds into emotions. You capture light and feeling in paintings." Veltar stood up and looked out the window at the campus below. "On my world, everything has a purpose. We are efficient and logical. But humans have imagination. You dream and create and feel. That is not primitive. That is advanced in a way my people do not understand." "Are you going to tell your people this?" Taimin asked. "I do not know," Veltar admitted. "They expect me to report that humans are simple. If I tell them the truth, they might not believe me. They might think I have been influenced by human emotions and cannot think clearly anymore." "Have you been influenced by human emotions?" Taimin asked with a smile. Veltar thought about this seriously. "Yes, I think I have. I am beginning to feel things I never felt before. When Woojin plays music, I feel sadness and joy. When I paint, I feel creation. When we eat together, I feel friendship." "Is that bad?" Taimin asked. "No," Veltar said, his skin glowing softly. "I think it is wonderful. My people live very logical lives, but we do not really live. We exist. Humans live." The next day, Veltar spent more time with Jinna and Woojin, learning about different types of art. He tried sculpture, poetry, and even dancing. Each new art form amazed him more. "Art is how humans share their inner world with others," Jinna explained as she taught Veltar to sculpt clay. "When I paint, I am showing others how I see and feel. So art is communication, but deeper than just sharing information," Veltar said, understanding. "It is sharing experience and emotion." "Exactly," Woojin agreed. "When I play sad music, I'm not just telling people I'm sad. I am letting them feel sadness with me." Veltar worked on a small clay sculpture of his hands holding human hands. It was simple, but it showed the connection he had learned to value. "This represents friendship," Veltar explained to his human friends. "On my world, we do not touch each other except for formal greetings. But humans touch to show care and connection. This sculpture shows what I have learned about human friendship." That night, Veltar sent his weekly report to his home planet. But instead of writing about human engineering, he wrote about human art, music, and friendship. He tried to explain how these things made humans special and advanced in their own way. He did not know if his people would understand, but he had to try. Humans had taught him to value beauty and emotion and connection. Now he wanted to teach his people the same thing. 3 weeks after Veltar's art exhibition, Taimin noticed his alien roommate acting strangely. Veltar spent hours staring at his communication device, and his skin had lost some of its usual glow. He seemed worried about something. "Is everything okay?" Taimin asked one morning as they got ready for classes. "I received a message from my home world," Veltar said quietly. "My supervisor is coming to visit. Commander Raytak wants to check on my progress and review my reports." "That sounds good," Taimin said. "You have learned so much about human culture. Your supervisor should be impressed." Veltar shook his head. "You do not understand. I was sent here to study human engineering and technology, but my reports have been about human art, customs, and emotions. Commander Raytak will think I have failed in my mission." Taimin could see that Veltar was genuinely afraid. "What will happen if your supervisor is not happy?" "I will be sent home immediately," Veltar said, "and I will probably never be allowed to leave my world again." My people will think I have been corrupted by human influence. The news worried Taemin. Over the past month, Veltar had become more than just a roommate. He had become a true friend. The idea of losing him made Taemin sad. Maybe you should write a report about human engineering too, Taemin suggested, just to show that you have been studying what they wanted. I could try, Veltar agreed. But Commander Raytak is very smart. If I write a fake report, he will know. Commander Raytak arrived 3 days later. He was much taller than Veltar, with darker blue skin and 6 arms instead of 4. His eyes glowed with a cold, stern light, and he moved with the authority of someone used to being obeyed. Taemin was in their dorm room when the commander arrived. Veltar immediately stood at attention, his whole body rigid with nervousness. Commander Raytak, Veltar said formally. Welcome to Earth. Student Veltar, the commander replied coldly. I have come to review your work and determine if this exchange program has value for our people. The commander looked around the room with obvious disapproval. His gaze stopped at Veltar's painting hanging on the wall, and his expression grew even more stern. What is this? Commander Raytak demanded, pointing at the painting. It is art, Veltar said quietly. I created it to show how beautiful the human world is. Art? The commander's skin darkened with anger. You were sent here to study practical technology, not to waste time on meaningless decoration. Taemin felt angry at how the commander was speaking to Veltar, but he tried to stay quiet. This was alien business, and he did not want to make things worse for his friend. Commander, Veltar said carefully, I have learned much about human culture. Humans are not as primitive as we thought. They have developed sophisticated social systems and creative abilities that we lack. Nonsense, Commander Raytak snapped. Humans are barely more advanced than animals. They still use crude physical tools and waste energy on pointless activities. Your reports show that you have been influenced by their primitive thinking. With respect, Commander, Veltar said, his voice stronger now. I believe our understanding of humans is incomplete. They have abilities that we have overlooked. Commander Raytak's 6 arms moved in a gesture that clearly meant displeasure. You will return to your original mission immediately. Study their engineering and technology. Stop wasting time on their cultural activities, and you will prepare to return home at the end of this week. After the commander left, Veltar sat on his bed looking defeated. His skin had turned a dull gray color that Taemin had never seen before. I am sorry, Taemin, Veltar said sadly. I will have to leave soon. Commander Raytak thinks I have failed. You have not failed, Taemin said firmly. You have learned more about humans than any alien ever has. That should be valued, not criticized. My people do not see it that way, Veltar replied. They only value practical knowledge. Art and friendship and emotions are considered weaknesses. That evening, Sora came to visit. She had been feeling sick with a human flu for several days, and she looked pale and tired. When she saw Veltar's gray skin and sad expression, she became worried. What is wrong? She asked. Taemin explained about Commander Raytak and how Veltar was being forced to leave. Sora listened with growing anger. That is not fair, she said. Veltar has done amazing work here. He has built bridges between our species. It does not matter, Veltar said. My supervisor has decided. I must return home and forget about human friendship. Sora started coughing badly, and her fever seemed to be getting worse. Taemin was worried about her, but the campus health center was closed for the night. Veltar looked at Sora with concern. He walked over to her and gently touched her forehead with one of his hands. She has a serious infection, Veltar said after a moment. Her body temperature is too high, and the bacteria in her system are multiplying rapidly. How can you tell that? Taemin asked. My people have advanced medical abilities, Veltar explained. We can sense illness and heal it. But I'm not supposed to use these abilities on humans. Sora coughed again and looked very weak. Taemin was getting scared for her health. Veltar, Taemin said urgently. If you can help her, please do it. Veltar hesitated. If Commander Raytak finds out, I will be in serious trouble. Using our medical technology on humans is strictly forbidden. I do not care about the rules, Taemin said. Sora is sick and you can help her. That is what friends do. Veltar looked at Sora, who was now shivering with fever. He made his decision. Placing all 4 of his hands on Sora's head and shoulders, Veltar's skin began to glow with bright, pulsing light. Energy flowed from his hands into Sora's body. Within minutes, Sora's fever broke and her color returned to normal. She stopped coughing and sat up, looking surprised and healthy. I feel much better, she said in amazement. What did you do? I helped your body fight the infection, Veltar explained. Your immune system is now strong enough to handle the illness. Thank you, Sora said, hugging Veltar carefully. You saved me. The next morning, Commander Raytak returned to check on Veltar's progress, but he immediately sensed that Veltar had used medical abilities. What have you done? The commander demanded angrily. I can detect that you have used healing powers. This is forbidden. I helped a sick human, Veltar said, standing straight and meeting the commander's angry gaze. Sora is my friend and she needed help. Friend? Commander Raytak's skin turned almost black with rage. You have completely lost your objectivity. You have gone native and can no longer think like a proper Ziltharian. Maybe that is not a bad thing, Veltar said quietly. The commander was so angry that he called for immediate transport back to their homeworld. You will return with me today. This exchange program is clearly a failure. Just then there was a knock on the door. Professor Dong Hyun-yoon, who ran the alien exchange program, entered the room. He was a kind, elderly man who had worked with many alien students over the years. I hope I am not interrupting, Professor Yoon said politely, but I wanted to speak with Veltar's supervisor about his remarkable progress. Progress? Commander Raytak said coldly. This student has failed completely. I disagree, Professor Yoon said calmly. Veltar has achieved something no other alien student has ever accomplished. He has formed genuine friendships with humans and created a cultural bridge between our species. His artwork has been featured in our university gallery, and his insights about human creativity have influenced our anthropology department. Commander Raytak stared at the human professor. Friendships and art are not valuable accomplishments. Perhaps not to your people, Professor Yoon replied, but they are valuable to us, and they might be valuable to your people too if they gave them a chance. Taemin watched as the two adults argued about Veltar's fate. He realized that his alien friend was caught between two worlds, trying to belong to both but fully accepted by neither. Veltar, Taemin said suddenly. What do you want to do? Everyone turned to look at the young alien. Veltar's skin flickered between colors as he thought about the question. I want to stay, Veltar said firmly. I want to continue learning about humans and helping them understand my people. I believe both species can learn from each other. That is not your choice to make, Commander Raytak said angrily. Maybe it should be, Professor Yoon suggested quietly. The room fell silent as everyone considered what this might mean. Veltar had to choose between his duty to his own species and his loyalty to his human friends. It was a choice that would change his life forever. The tension in the dorm room was thick as Commander Raytak and Professor Yoon stared at each other. Veltar stood between them, his skin shifting colors as he struggled with the biggest decision of his life. I request permission to contact the Ziltharian High Council, Veltar said suddenly. Commander Raytak's eyes widened in surprise. You want to go over my authority? I want to present my findings to the highest level of our government, Veltar replied with growing confidence. If my reports about human capabilities are correct, this is too important for one commander to decide alone. Professor Yoon nodded approvingly. That seems reasonable. Perhaps we should involve Earth's Alien Relations Department as well. 2 days later, the small dorm room had become the center of an interplanetary diplomatic incident. Ambassador Kalin, one of the most important Ziltharian leaders, had arrived on Earth to personally investigate the situation. She was older than Commander Raytak, with silver-blue skin and 8 arms that moved with graceful authority. Dr. Young-Suk Han, Earth's leading expert on alien psychology, had also come to observe. She was a small, smart woman who had spent her career studying how different species could work together. Young Veltar, Ambassador Kalin said in a voice that was stern but not unkind, your reports have caused quite a stir among our people. You claim that humans possess advanced capabilities that we have overlooked. Yes, Ambassador, Veltar replied respectfully. Humans have developed social and creative abilities that are far more sophisticated than we realized. Explain, the ambassador commanded. Veltar looked at his human friends, who were sitting quietly nearby. Taemin gave him an encouraging nod. Humans create beauty for its own sake, Veltar began. They make music that serves no practical purpose except to share emotions across individuals. They paint pictures that capture not just visual information, but feelings and ideas. They have turned necessary activities like eating into social bonding rituals. Commander Raytak made a dismissive gesture. These are primitive distractions, not advanced capabilities. I disagree, Veltar said boldly. These abilities allow humans to form connections that transcend individual survival. They can make friends with complete strangers, even aliens from other worlds. They can inspire loyalty and cooperation through emotional bonds rather than just logical agreements. Ambassador Kalin listened carefully. These are interesting observations, but how do we know they are accurate? You may have been influenced by extended contact with humans. There is one way to find out, Professor Yoon suggested. Ambassador Kalin could experience human hospitality firsthand. Dr. Han agreed. We could arrange for you to spend time with a typical human family. See how humans actually live and interact. Ambassador Kalin considered this proposal. Very well. I will observe these human customs myself. Taemin felt nervous but excited. Ambassador, would you like to have dinner with my family? My parents would be honored to meet you. The next evening, Ambassador Kalin, Commander Raytak, and Veltar arrived at Taemin's family home. Taemin's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Kim, had spent all day preparing a traditional Korean feast. They were nervous about hosting alien dignitaries, but they wanted to make a good impression. Welcome to our home, Mrs. Kim said, bowing politely as Taemin had taught her. We are honored to have you as our guests. Ambassador Kalin looked around the modest apartment with curiosity. The walls were decorated with family photos, children's artwork, and small ornaments that served no practical purpose but made the space feel warm and personal. Please, sit and be comfortable, Mr. Kim said, gesturing to cushions around a low table covered with many different dishes. As they sat down to eat, Taemin's younger sister Min Jung arrived home from school. She was only 8 years old and was not afraid of the tall blue aliens at all. Wow, you look so cool, Min Jung said to Veltar excitedly. Can you change colors on purpose? Veltar smiled and made his skin glow in different colors, which delighted the little girl. Ambassador Kalin watched this interaction with interest. During dinner, the Kim family shared stories about their lives, asked the aliens about their home world, and made sure everyone had enough food. They treated their alien guests not as strange beings to be feared, but as honored friends who happened to look different. This food is delicious, Ambassador Kalin said as she carefully used chopsticks to eat bulgogi, and the preparation must have taken considerable time and effort. My wife enjoys cooking for guests, Mr. Kim said proudly. Sharing a meal is how we show care for others. But you gain no practical benefit from feeding us, Ambassador Kalin observed. We are not part of your family or your work group. Why do you treat us so well? Mrs. Kim looked confused by the question. Because you are our guests. And because Veltar is Taemin's friend. That makes you our friends too. Ambassador Kalin set down her chopsticks and studied the human family. You consider friendship a sufficient reason to expend resources on strangers? Of course, Min Jung said innocently. Friends take care of each other. That is what makes them friends. As the evening continued, the aliens experienced something none of them had expected. The Kim family shared funny stories, showed old photo albums, and included the aliens in their conversations as if they had known them for years. They asked about Ziltharian culture with genuine curiosity and respect. When Taemin's grandmother called to check on the family, Mrs. Kim insisted that Ambassador Kalin speak to her. The elderly woman was so excited to talk to an alien that she spent 20 minutes asking questions and telling stories, even though she could not see Ambassador Kalin through the phone. She says you are welcome to visit her anytime, Mrs. Kim translated. She wants to cook traditional dishes for you to try. By the end of the evening, Ambassador Kalin's silver-blue skin had taken on a warmer glow. She sat quietly as the family cleaned up together, with even young Min Jung helping to put away dishes. I have observed something remarkable tonight, Ambassador Kalin said finally. Your family has treated us as if we were valuable and important, though you have known us for only a few hours. You have shared your resources, your stories, and your time with no expectation of return. That is what humans do. Taemin said simply, we try to make others feel welcome and cared for. This social bonding ability, Ambassador Kalin mused, it allows you to expand your family unit to include anyone who shows goodwill. Yes, Dr. Han said, who had been quietly observing all evening. Humans can form cooperative relationships very quickly with individuals from completely different backgrounds, even different species. The next day, Ambassador Kalin met with the university administration and alien relations officials. Her report would determine not only Veltar's fate, but the future of alien-human exchanges. After careful observation, Ambassador Kalin announced, "I believe that young Veltar's reports are accurate. Humans possess social integration capabilities that our species has severely underestimated." Commander Raytak looked shocked. "Ambassador, surely you do not believe that human emotions and customs are actually advanced technologies?" "Not technologies in the traditional sense," Ambassador Kalin replied, "but humans have evolved sophisticated methods for creating cooperation, trust, and loyalty across genetic and cultural boundaries. These abilities have allowed them to build complex societies and expand their influence across their planet and beyond." She turned to Veltar, who had been waiting nervously for her decision. "Student Veltar, I'm offering you a choice. You may return to our homeworld and resume normal Ziltharian life, or you may remain on Earth as our first permanent cultural ambassador, studying human social capabilities and teaching them about our people." Veltar's skin brightened with hope and excitement. "I choose to stay, Ambassador. I want to continue learning from humans and helping our species understand each other." "Very well," Ambassador Kalin said formally. "But this position comes with great responsibility. You will be representing our entire species in your interactions with humans." "I understand, Ambassador. I will do my best to honor both peoples." Commander Raytak looked angry and confused. "This decision will change everything. Other species will want to study humans too. They will no longer be seen as primitive." "Good," Ambassador Kalin said firmly. "It is time we learned from species that have capabilities we lack." 3 months later, Veltar had settled into his new role as cultural ambassador. He lived in a small apartment near the university and spent his days studying human customs, teaching alien students about Earth, and helping to establish the first interspecies cultural exchange program. Tai Min visited him regularly, along with Sora, Hyunwoo, Jinna, and Woojin. They had all become part of Veltar's chosen human family. "How do you like your new job?" Taemin asked one evening as they shared dinner in Veltar's apartment. "It is wonderful," Veltar replied, his skin glowing with contentment. "Every day I learn something new about humans. And every day I get to share what I learn with other aliens who come to study here." "Have you heard from your homeworld?" Sora asked. "Yes," Veltar said excitedly. "My reports have inspired other young Ziltharians to request cultural exchanges with different species. Some want to study human art and music. Others want to learn about human cooking and social customs.